Hi everyone and welcome to episode 17 of Women in Retail Talks. In today's episode, we're excited to share a presentation from this year's Girl Talks West event featuring Laura Alber, CEO and President of Williams-Sonoma. Listen in as she shares lessons learned from her career. And now, on to the show.
I'm thrilled to be here, honored to be asked to speak to so many wonderful women, and I'm sure most of you work today, right? So I'm going to try to be interesting and brief, as Melissa said. Maybe there's something I'll say that would stick with you, and if not, I'm sorry. I've been with Williams-Sonoma for 21 years. Yeah. I do think I might have the best job in the entire world. Now, why do I think that? Well, because I'm pretty shallow. And I really like to eat, and I really like beautiful home goods. This is what I get to do every day. I was recently in a university setting, and all these impressive people were talking about what they were doing, working on politics, and I found myself really out of date on most of the subjects, although I have opinions. And I realized, but I know one thing. I can tell you where all this furniture is made. Yeah. And so we have depth of knowledge in what we do, and hopefully what you're doing you love, because it matters. Now, a couple other things about me, just briefly. I do have 3 children, mostly wonderful. I am still married today. I feel very lucky for both because I think that happy family foundation allows me to deal with a lot of stress at work. I'm also so lucky to be in a world of retail where I think all of us get to enjoy many different stimulus, data analytics, creativity. If you like to write, you can, go after the math side, sourcing, travel's good. So we're in a great industry, I think, retail. Throughout my career, I've learned a few things. I'm certainly not done learning, but I'll share a couple, okay? So I would say that the very first thing I want to say to all of you, deep breath, is believe in yourself. I ask you, do you believe in yourself? Because I believe that we all have limitless potential. I think we'll probably never reach it, but you should keep striving, and you never know when you're going to hit it. I don't know that we all think about that every morning when we wake up, that we say, we're better than we think we are. We look in the mirror and we say, I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to change someone's life. I'm going to make a big difference at work. And I just want you to remember that when you wake up. I was so fortunate that I was raised by a mother who happens to be here. She looks too young. She had me when she was like 12. I think, no, maybe 18, something like that. A mother who convinced me I could do anything. I mean, how many of you have mothers like that? Every lesson, everywhere. I thought I was going to be an Olympiad skating star. Frankly, I couldn't skate at all, but somehow she made me believe I could. And so, that courage is really important because so many times you have to put your neck out there and say, I got that. I'm going to do that, or I can do that. And I think so many women don't. I mean, how many of you read the book, this new book, I think it's hilarious, The Feminist Fight Club? Anybody? So here's the advice they say. They say, if only women had the confidence of a mediocre, middle-aged white man. I thought that was quite interesting to consider, that maybe we don't have enough confidence. The second thing I've learned is to act like an owner. And I think it starts with your mindset. It's not to be confused with arrogance, which is all about ego and that, but how would your job change if you knew this was your only option? If you go to work tomorrow and you say, this is my only option, my whole family's future depends on this job. Failure is not in your mindset, right? You're going to do everything you can to make a difference. And while I know you all have many options and we're all here to try to recruit you, the truth is if you do whatever job you're doing now like an owner, everyone is going to notice. I remember the moment that I became an owner vividly. I was the director of the Pottery Barn catalog, and I had done some things that I was proud of. And my boss at the time, Pat Conley, called me into his office and told me about this promotion. And it was the biggest promotion of my life, bigger than being promoted to CEO, because I finally had a business that I was going to run, that I was going to own. And I was like, nothing is going to get in my way. Not my gender, not my age, no person, no political situation. I was going to make it happen. And I thought about tonight, should I talk about gender? And I don't talk about gender because I don't think about gender. And because I don't think about gender, people don't think about my gender. And I have, I think, been able to end up in the job I am because I'm comfortable, and I'm comfortable with all types of people. And I haven't ever said I can't do something because of it. So another example is that when I had one of the kids, and I don't know which kid it was, but I was talking to my boss, and I know he was thinking about, could I be CEO? And he said, let me ask you a question, Laura. This is a man, 72-year-old Oklahoma guy, okay? He looked me in the eye and he goes, so, if you become CEO, how much are you willing to travel? I mean, I swear to God, I must have had like 3 kids under the age of 7. I'm like, I didn't even flinch. I looked him in the eye and I said, as much as it takes. And he goes, really? I go, yep. And frankly, I did not even think about considering that I couldn't. And I had no idea how I could. And that was that. And it really hasn't been an issue. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit long, but the kids are fine, right? Thank God I didn't answer that question wrong. Right? So don't do that. They say, can you do this? You say yes. How hard are you willing to work? As hard as I need to work. What are you willing to do? Anything you want. I'm here for you. Helps, matters. People notice. Okay, so that is lesson 2. Lesson 3, my opinion. Who's the most important person? Customer. Customer is the most important person. So we're all dealing with so many priorities. Your boss has their priority, the board, your boss's boss's boss, your team, every day, right? You got so much stuff going on. And sometimes you can get really distracted by somebody else's agenda or upset about the wrong stuff. And it's taken me a long time to figure this out, otherwise known as don't sweat the small stuff. But, somebody starts this crap, this distraction stuff, and maybe they actually could really affect your career. But I'm telling you that if you get yourself back into the mindset of what does your customer want, and if you actually have spent the time trying to figure that out, the best antidote to someone telling you to do some stupid project that doesn't matter is to bring up a customer project. So, it's funny you say that, but I was just in the stores this weekend, and I spent 3 hours on the floor. And you know what they said the most important thing was? It's really hard to argue with. It's not your opinion anymore versus their opinion. It's about what does the customer want. Okay. Number 4, kind of attached to number 1, which is believe in yourself. So number 4, for me, is take care of yourself. How many of you have read the book Corporate Athlete? Anybody? Nobody. A couple, yeah. Williams-Sonoma people, I see. So, you read a lot of these books. Most of them you don't remember. But this one sticks. And they do a really good, inspirational off-site thing for your team. But here's the gist if you don't want to read the book. So when an athlete trains to run, 100 yards, how many hours a day do they train? What do you think? 4 hours, 5 hours? What also do? They feed themselves really carefully. They sleep enough. And then they go out and they do their, 90-minute sprint, and they perform. Now, as executives, you're not just doing a 90-minute sprint, right? You're working all day, sometimes all night. You're on 24/7. But are you training to do that job? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating right? Are you exercising so hard that it hurts every single day? Now, you might be like, you're crazy. But guess what? Because of it, you can tolerate more stress effortlessly. Doesn't matter. You're like, okay, that's fine. This morning, I went running in the rain. You're like, you can give me a hard time in this meeting, but I'm tougher than you are, and I can outrun you in the rain. This is what I think. This is a weird thing. Yeah. But it's also really important because there's so many toxins in our environment, and I don't know about you, and I hate to get depressing, but I have so many friends that have been recently diagnosed with cancer who have big jobs and who then say when they're looking at the end of it and wondering what they could have done differently, okay, your whole crazy workout, eating right, sleeping thing, should have done that 10 years ago. So if there's anything to remember, it's make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And I'm not just talking about your body and how you eat, but also your spirit. Okay, and last but not least, embrace the torture. Okay? Now, some of the Williams-Sonoma people have heard this, but the truth is, anything worth doing is going to be slightly difficult. Right? I mean, it's the reality. Anybody who's done something amazing has put a lot of devotion into that thing. They're devoted. And so, whether you turn up the treadmill when you're tired instead of turning it down, or run the extra 5 minutes, or bike the extra 5 minutes, or work a little bit longer, or just embrace when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, God, I got to figure this out, and it's stressing me out, and I'm like, I am up and I am dealing with it. And I'm like, this is what I do. I'm a retailer. And it's changing so fast, and you think you have it figured out, and the comps come and they're negative, and you're like, ugh, got to get it, right? So I was listening to this speech. I think this a lot, but then it's great when somebody else tells you. So Howard Stern, Jerry Seinfeld, top of their game, right? Interview. I don't know if you've ever heard the interview. And Howard says to Jerry, you're out at a restaurant. You're eating a nice meal. Are you thinking about material? What do you think Jerry says? He goes, yep, I'm thinking about material. He goes, what about when you're with your wife? He goes, yep, thinking about material. Always. And then he says, it sounds like torture. You tortured. He goes, yes, I'm tortured. And I love it. That's what I do. I'm a comedian, and I love my work. So that's all I think about. I'm a retailer. I love mine. I embrace the torture every day, and I find it very, very fulfilling. So I hope you have found the same, and if you haven't...
Thanks for listening. To learn more about all things women in retail, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter at WIRL Leadership. Until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.